Welcome to Honeybee. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Real stories of love, lies, and betrayal, where every truth stings. Let's begin. I always believed that trust was the strongest pillar in any marriage. For years, I lived with the thought that my wife, Amelia, was my anchor, the one who balanced me when the storms of life threatened to shake my world. She was elegant and ambitious, and carried herself with a confidence that could light up any room. When I married her, I was certain I had found the one person who could love me without reservation, without ulterior motives. At least, that's what I thought. The irony was that Amelia had no idea about my background. She believed me to be just an ordinary man, working a stable job, living a modest life. She didn't know that beneath that surface, I was heir to one of the most powerful family empires in the country, a billion-dollar fortune tied to my family's legacy. I never flaunted it because I wanted someone to love me for who I was, not for the wealth attached to my last name. That's why I kept it a secret, not even hinting at it once during our marriage. Everything seemed normal until the night of her company's product launch. Amelia had been working tirelessly for months, pouring her energy into this event. I wanted to support her in every way I could. So when she invited me, I cleared my schedule without hesitation. She looked stunning in her tailored black dress, her hair pinned back neatly, and her confident smile never fading as she greeted colleagues, investors, and journalists. I stood by her side, proud of her achievements, yet something about the way she interacted with her boss unsettled me. His name was Dominic, a man with sharp features, a polished suit, and a charisma that seemed calculated rather than natural. I had noticed before how Amelia spoke about him with admiration, but I brushed it off as simple professional respect. Yet, as I stood there watching them, I couldn't shake the feeling that their closeness extended beyond the boundaries of employer and employee. When Amelia introduced me to him, his eyes lingered on her far too long, and the smirk that played at the corner of his mouth told me more than words ever could. He shook my hand with firm grip, almost as if testing me, asserting dominance in a way only men with guilty secrets do. I tried to dismiss it, convincing myself that my paranoia was clouding my judgment. The night carried on with speeches, champagne toasts, and laughter filling the air. I should have been celebrating my wife's success, but an unease gnawed at me. Every time I turned my head, I saw Dominic whispering something into Amelia's ear, making her laugh in a way she hadn't laughed with me in a long time. It wasn't just friendly banter. It was intimate, charged with something far deeper. I needed air, so I excused myself in the main hall and walked toward the terrace. The city lights shimmered in the distance, yet even the beauty of the skyline couldn't ease the heaviness in my chest. My thoughts swirled. Was I imagining things? Was I being overly suspicious? I wanted to believe in Amelia, in us, but fate has a cruel way of delivering the truth. When I returned inside, I took a detour down one of the quieter corridors of the hotel, intending to find a restroom. That's when I heard it, a soft giggle, Amelia's giggle, followed by the hushed voice of a man. My steps froze. The sound came from behind a partially closed door. My heart began to pound, my stomach twisting in knots. Slowly, I pushed the door open just enough to peek inside. My entire world collapsed in that instant. There she was, my wife, pressed up against Dominic, her lips locked with his in a kiss that was anything but professional. Her hands clung to his shoulders, his arms wrapped tightly around her waist. The intimacy, the passion, it was the kind of kiss that told me this wasn't their first time. I stumbled back, the breath knocked out of me as though I'd been punched. My mind screamed at me to storm in, to confront them, to demand answers. But my body betrayed me. I stood there in shock, frozen by the weight of betrayal. I clenched my fists, fighting the urge to throw the door wide open and expose him right then and there. Instead, I retreated. I walked away quietly, each step heavy with rage and heartbreak. My chest burned, my throat tightened, and before I knew it, my eyes stung with tears. The woman I had trusted with every fiber of my being, the woman I had sacrificed for, was giving herself to another man. I somehow made it back to the main hall, my face carefully composed, masking the storm that raged within me. Amelia returned minutes later, her lipstick slightly smudged, her smile too forced. She glanced at me nervously, perhaps wondering if I had noticed. I didn't say a word. Not yet. The rest of the evening passed in a blur. People clapped for speeches, glasses clinked, cameras flashed, but I heard none of it. I was too busy replaying the scene I had witnessed. Every detail etched into my mind like a cruel engraving. I kept asking myself, why? Why betray me? What did Dominic have that I didn't? When we finally got home, Amelia acted as though nothing had happened. She slipped out of her heels, poured herself a glass of wine, and started chatting casually about the event. I sat there in silence, watching her, my heart aching with every word she spoke. How could she stand there and talk to me like everything was normal when I had seen the truth with my own eyes? I wanted to scream. I wanted to demand the truth from her lips. But part of me hesitated. Maybe it was denial. Maybe it was a fear of hearing her admit it out loud. Instead, I excused myself, saying I was tired. I lay in bed that night, staring at the ceiling, torn apart by the betrayal and the secret I still carried, that I was not just her ordinary husband, but the heir to a fortune she knew nothing about. And in that silence, as she slept peacefully beside me, I made a decision. If Amelia thought she could deceive me, then she had no idea what storm was coming her way. I woke up the next morning with a heaviness in my chest that I couldn't shake. Amelia moved about the room as if nothing was wrong, humming softly as she prepared for the day. I watched her carefully, every gesture, every smile, every word sounding like a lie now. The woman I thought I knew had shattered the very foundation of our marriage, yet she carried on as though her betrayal was invisible. I couldn't keep pretending. Every glance at her brought back the image of her lips pressed against Dominic's, her hands gripping him like she belonged to him and not to me. My mind was torn apart by anger and sadness, but beneath it all, a strange calmness settled in me. If she had played me for a fool, then I would let her believe she had won, at least for a little while. The irony of it all was almost too much to bear. She thought she had fooled me, that I was nothing more than the ordinary man she believed she had outgrown. But what she didn't know was that her betrayal was about to collide with the truth I had hidden for years. I had chosen to live simply, to mask my wealth and power, because I wanted a love that was pure and untouched by greed. I wanted someone to choose me, not my inheritance. But Amelia had made her choice, and soon she would see who I truly was. Days passed, and I played my role well. I pretended not to notice her constant late nights at work, the hurried excuses, the faint scent of cologne on her clothes that wasn't mine. I smiled when she spoke, nodded when she lied, and let her build her web of deceit, strand by strand. Each lie she told me only fueled my resolve. Finally, the opportunity came. Amelia had invited me to another company gathering, insisting that I attend because it would mean the world to her. I almost laughed at the thought. She had no idea what was coming. That night, as she walked gracefully through the venue, wearing a dress that shimmered under the lights, I couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness. She was beautiful, radiant even, but that beauty was hollow now. Dominic was there, of course, his eyes following her every move, their secret glances, the subtle touches, all hidden in plain sight. I no longer felt anger watching them. Instead, I felt an odd sense of pity. They thought they were in control, but the truth was, I held all the cards. When the moment was right, I stepped onto the stage after one of the speeches. The room quieted, curious eyes turning toward me. Amelia looked startled, clearly not expecting me to take such a step. I cleared my throat, my voice steady, though inside me my heart raced with anticipation. "Good evening, everyone," I began. "I know most of you don't know me beyond being Amelia's husband. To many, I must seem ordinary, perhaps unremarkable. But there's something I've kept hidden, something even my wife doesn't know." The crowd leaned in, murmurs rippling through the room. Amelia's eyes widened, confusion etched on her face. Dominic shifted uncomfortably in his seat, his smirk faltering. For years, I've lived quietly, avoiding the spotlight, because I wanted to be loved for myself and not for the fortune attached to my name. What none of you know is that I am the sole heir to a billion-dollar family enterprise, a legacy passed down through generations. Every step I've taken, every decision I've made, has been under the weight of this responsibility. And yet, I chose to live humbly because I wanted something real. The gasps in the room were almost deafening. Amelia's glass slipped from her hand, shattering against the floor. Her face drained of color, her mouth opening, but no words coming out. And yet, I continued, my eyes fixed on her. Even when given the gift of a genuine life, of trust and loyalty, some people cannot appreciate what they have. Some people throw it away for cheap thrills and hollow promises. The silence that followed was suffocating. Amelia's hands trembled as she whispered, "What are you talking about?" I looked at her, my voice low but sharp enough to cut through the tension. "I saw you, Amelia. I saw you with him, at your launch event. Do you have any idea what it felt like to watch the woman I loved kiss another man?" Gasps filled the hall again, all eyes now on Amelia and Dominic. Her face flushed, her lips quivering as she stammered, "It's not what you think." "Don't lie to me," I interrupted, my tone firm, commanding. "You can spin stories for everyone else, but you cannot rewrite what I saw with my own eyes. You betrayed me, Amelia. You broke the vows we made." Dominic tried to stand, his voice defensive, but the weight of the moment crushed his arrogance. The audience's whispers turned into judgmental stares. Colleagues who once respected him, now seeing him in a different light. Amelia reached for me, desperation flooding her eyes. "Please, we can fix this. I didn't mean—" I stepped back, her touch burning like poison. "No, Amelia, you chose this. You had me, the real me, and that wasn't enough for you. You gambled with our marriage, with my trust, and you lost." Tears welled in her eyes as she tried to plead, but her words drowned beneath the weight of the truth I had laid bare. The crowd shifted uncomfortably, the humiliation sinking in deeper with every passing second. Dominic stood silent, exposed to the man he really was. I walked off that stage with a calmness I hadn't felt in weeks. For the first time since that night, I could breathe again. My secret was no longer a burden, and neither was she. Amelia called after me, her voice cracking with regret, but I didn't look back. Some endings are necessary, no matter how painful they may be. As I stepped out into the night, the cool air hitting my face, I realized that I had lost a wife, but gained something more valuable: clarity. The life I wanted, the love I deserved, could never exist in the shadow of betrayal. And while Amelia was left behind to face the ruin of her choices, I walked forward, carrying with me not just the weight of my inheritance, but the strength of a man who refused to be broken.